Hey guys, it's Hula Hula here. Just going to do a quick rundown on my Polar Star and what all it entails when you go and get one, and how to do the nozzle swap. So basically what we got here, this is the Polar Star PR15 gearbox and gun. This is actually the package we brought in. The base gun is a VFC M4, and I've already added a couple accessories to it. You'll see that in a little bit. So first thing we're going to do here is take apart the Polar Star gearbox. You can see pretty much it's a drop-in gearbox. It looks just like a regular version 2 AEG gearbox, minus the fact that it's got the two air solenoids up here, a different style selector switch, and the entire gearbox is made out of CNC machined metal, so it's a lot stronger. And of course, coming out the bottom, you have your air nozzle, or airline. Airline usually comes with a quick disconnect on it. I've taken mine off just so I can get the grip off. So what we'll do here is take this part off first. There are different size screws on the gearbox shell, so you do have to make sure you take that into consideration when you take it apart. I use two different size Phillips head screwdrivers. These two bottom ones here are a little bit larger, and then the one right here, and then the one in front of the bolt release are a little bit smaller. Let's take those two off. Take off the larger ones. You can just pop this plate right up and off. And inside, you can see where you have your remote line coming in, and this can actually be switched right around. You can actually run this line from here out the front, so you can run front wiring. It's that simple. I'm choosing to run it to the rear because of the way I have the SOCOM stock run. You can see where your airline comes up into your rear solenoid, and then you have your main fire control computer going up to your front solenoid, which controls the air nozzle going back and forth, and pretty much fires the gun. From what it looks like, the trigger assembly here is a standard version 2 AEG trigger, so you could put in a different style trigger. We can go ahead and pull it apart and see what it looks like. So I'm assuming you could actually put in the speed trigger that Airsoft Barracks sells up in Jacksonville, and I think Airsoft GI carries them also. So be real careful about this because I'm assuming this has the spring in it. Yep, standard version 2 trigger. So you can put in the speed trigger to move it up a little bit. I assume you can probably do about that much. I'd say about 4 to 5 millimeters up without it actually hitting the gearbox frame. But again, it doesn't need to move that much. This is the actual engagement right here, and then the actual triggering. And this is all it's used to fire your air solenoid off. Right here, you actually have your button for single and full auto. If the selector switch is back, of course, it's not going to let the trigger move forward. If it's moved forward to semi, you can still move the trigger, but this button right here is not depressed, this little red button. And then when it's on full auto and you depress it, that allows it to fire in full auto or burst, depending on how you have your fire control unit set. So, pretty simple there. Put that back together. This is all CNC machined metal, so it is very, very strong, and it also is lightweight. The actual gearbox, I'd say, is maybe half the weight of a standard AEG gearbox, certainly a lot less than like a classic Army gearbox or JG. So put these two hook back together. And like I said, all you have to do is pull out the fire control unit here, take the wiring out, and you can swap it over to the front if you have a handguard in the front or you want to run a tech box and with the fire control unit running up. Okay, next up we're going to go ahead and take off the air nozzle, swap it out from the blue stock air nozzle to the black higher FPS nozzle. The blue nozzle, depending on what FPS you set your regulator at, no more than 120 PSI recommended by Polar Star. The blue nozzle is good for about 367 to 405 to 410 FPS. This black nozzle upgrade right here will kick the FPS up to right around 470 to 510, again depending on the pressure you use. You can lower the pressure and lock it in if you have the lock-in regulator, so it'll never be an issue there. So what you're going to need is It says a 2.5 millimeter Allen head screw to take these two off, but it's actually not quite the right size. So what I ended up going with is a Torx T10 bit. Torx bits do work just as well on Allen keys, especially if you have a stripped out Allen key. It can work a little bit better. G&Gs are very notorious for that. Just stick it in. You can actually hit it in with a small hammer or weight, and it'll actually seat itself into the stripped out Allen head of a G&G gearbox, and that'll work just as well, and usually works from, until you basically get rid of the gearbox. I've never had any issues with it. So you remove these two front and rear screws right here, and then you remove the flathead screw on the bottom where the air nozzle goes, the air solenoid lines go into the top of the gearbox. So once that's loose, you take this nozzle right here and unscrew it, and there is the interior nozzle. Right, here is the glue nozzle. Now it's very important, as listed by Polarstar, that you do add a little bit of grease to it. I have some Phantom AEG gearbox grease here, and I also have some Mad Bull silicone oil that I do use. This is the little 30 milliliter ones they sell, again, from Airsoft Barracks. So basically, just kind of give it a little go through over here, make sure your spring's okay, make sure your actual air nozzle's fine. This is still greased straight from the factory because this gun is relatively new. So what I would do here is just take the nozzle, dry it off a little bit, and put it back in its in the storage bag for the black nozzle. Now they do offer a wide selection of nozzles, anywhere from the, I believe it's the gold nozzle up to the red nozzle. The gold nozzle puts you down to CQB legal limits. Right now, with the technology that they have, they're getting right around 45 to 50 rounds a second. It is possible to go higher, but they don't recommend it. So I'm just going to grease up this O-ring right here and insert it down inside the nozzle again, and give it a little bit more grease just right on the edge. So as you can see, it sits down the side of there nice and smooth, back and forth, and it does have a holding screw here so you can adjust how far it comes out. This, I believe, don't quote me on it for Polarstar, but I believe this is going to be adjustable later for different length nozzles. If you were to put this in an SR25 body or like a Masada, scars, type of things like that. So once it's screwed back on, you do have to line up these two hash marks right here as instructed by the manual. Once those two go back on, you can lower down this whole top assembly again and reseat the air lines. So basically all you have is two air lines and solenoids on here. You got the rear solenoid right here, which is rear air line, which controls the actual amount of air going through your nozzle and what determines the FPS of the BB pretty much. And you have the front one here, which is what retracts and extends the air nozzle, which is also completely adjustable through the fire control computer. So you can adjust for how long it stays back, how long it goes forward, how fast it goes forward. So you can actually, of course, control your rate of fire that way. Not quite as easy as it is just to adjust the rate of fire setting, but it does let you, have a little bit more modicum of control on the fire control unit. What I'm going to do is stick on this nozzle, this one first, so it lines up. Okay. This one will have to be kind of moved back and forth to really get it seated right. I got it in there now. And it's sealed by O-ring, so you don't need to put a huge amount of torque on it. Alright, so we go ahead and take this. Okay, and that's it for the nozzle.